Deep in the middle of a forest sits a small, quiet house, and inside it lives a woman named Maddie. She is in her kitchen cooking a meal from a recipe she found online when a message comes through from a neighbor who plans to stop by. Maddie calls her cat over for feeding. Out here, surrounded by nothing but trees, that cat is her only company. Her neighbor Sarah shows up a little while later to return a novel, and not just any novel. Maddie is the one who wrote it. On the back cover of that book is a short summary of Maddie's life. At 13 years old, she was diagnosed with bacterial meningitis. The illness took her hearing permanently and damaged her vocal cords. A surgery meant to repair her voice failed, and that damage became permanent too. Since then, Maddie has lived her entire life unable to hear and unable to speak. This is Hush. Maddie's novel, Midnight Mass, earned international praise, and after that success, Maddie made a big decision. She left the noise and the crowds of New York City behind and moved out here into total isolation, hoping the silence would make her a better writer. When Sarah visits, Maddie tells her she does not need to use sign language because she can read lips just fine. Sarah keeps signing anyway since she wants the practice. She tells Maddie how much she loved the book and how she tried to guess the ending while reading and got it completely wrong. She wants to know how Maddie came up with something like that, and she calls her a gifted storyteller. Then the fire alarm goes off. Maddie hurries inside to shut it down while Sarah switches off the oven that set it blaring. Sarah cannot believe how loud the thing is. It is powerful enough to wake up just about anyone, and that is exactly the point. Maddie explains that since she cannot hear, she relies on the vibration of that alarm to wake her if a fire ever breaks out while she is asleep. Remember that alarm. It matters later. As night falls, Sarah invites Maddie over for dinner, but Maddie turns her down. She wants to keep working on her new novel. Sarah understands and says they will catch up tomorrow. After Sarah leaves, Maddie gets a message from a man named Craig, telling her she has been on his mind. She deletes it almost instantly and goes back to her writing. She is stuck on the ending. She has come up with 7 different versions and none of them feel right. Frustrated, she finally decides to call Craig after all. But she loses her nerve the moment the call starts connecting and cancels it. When he calls her back, she rejects it. When he tries again, she ignores it completely. Meanwhile, something horrifying is happening just outside, and Maddie has no idea. Sarah is attacked by a masked man in the dark. She screams for help right outside the house, but Maddie cannot hear a single sound of it. After killing Sarah, the masked man walks up to the glass door and stands there, watching Maddie clean her kitchen. He is close enough that she should notice him. He tests her, and when she does not react at all, he figures out the truth. She cannot hear him. Nothing he does makes any sound she can pick up. Calmly, without any fear of being noticed, he drags Sarah's body away. Inside, Craig tries the phone again, so Maddie flips it face down and gets back to writing. What she does not know is that the masked man is already inside the house, standing behind her, getting ready to strike. She is saved by pure luck. Her sister Max calls her at that exact moment, and the video call forces the intruder to back off and slip out of view. He quietly takes Maddie's phone. For one brief second, Max catches a glimpse of him through the camera, but the moment passes. Maddie assumes the movement she felt was just her cat. She searches the house room by room looking for the animal and cannot find it anywhere. She gives up and settles back into her work. Then a message arrives on her laptop, sent from her own phone, and it is full of photos of her. She is confused and unsettled. Then she sees the last picture in the set. It is a photo of her sitting right there, at that laptop, staring at that exact message. Whoever took it was inside the house seconds ago. Now she is genuinely scared. She starts checking the windows, and that is when she sees him. The masked man is standing outside, calmly holding up his phone so she can see it. She runs and locks every door in the house, and that is when she notices the other thing he is carrying, a crossbow. Maddie tries to call the police, but he is already ahead of her. He cuts the power at the fuse box, which kills her internet and leaves the laptop useless. Then he drags a knife across the glass, a knife still coated in Sarah's blood. Just to let her see it, and to make sure she cannot run, he goes out and slashes every tire on her car. Desperate, Maddie grabs a tube of lipstick and writes a message across the glass door. She tells him she will not say anything, that she never saw his face, and that her boyfriend is on his way home right now. He reads it. Then he answers in the worst way possible. He pulls off his mask and shows her his face. This man, who we will just call the man, asks if she can read lips. She nods, so he lays it out for her. She has seen him now, which means he can walk in and kill her whenever he wants. But he is in no rush. He would rather play with her first. He wants to drag it out until she is the one begging to die, and only then will he come inside. He taunts her, telling her she should have stayed with her sister Max, because nobody is meant to live all alone out here. He tells her to nod if she understands. Then the game begins. Maddie arms herself with a knife and a hammer and locks herself in a room. For a long stretch, nothing happens at all. Then something knocks against the window. And when she looks, she sees Sarah's dead body being held up against the glass. The shock hits her hard. Her friend is really gone. But the sight of the body gives her an idea. Sarah had her phone in her pocket. Maddie grabs her car remote and sets off the car alarm, and the man immediately heads toward the noise. She throws open the bedroom window and reaches down for the phone on Sarah's body lying just below. It almost works, but the man shuts the car alarm off in seconds and catches her in the act. She cannot get the window closed in time, and she is forced to fight him off with the hammer. After bandaging the wound she gave him, the man does something strange. He picks up Sarah's phone and places it right back on top of her body, making sure Maddie sees it. Then he takes one of Sarah's earrings for himself. It is a small detail, but it says a lot about him. He is not just killing, he is collecting one item from every person he kills. When Maddie steps out of the room, she sees him circling the house, checking the windows one by one. She uses the chance to slip outside, but with him still prowling around, she has to crawl underneath the house to hide. She presses her palm flat against the underside of the floorboards, trying to feel his footsteps through the vibrations, because that is the only way she can track him. Once she is sure he has moved to the far side, she makes a break for it, and he appears out of nowhere. An arrow flies past her, and she barely scrambles back inside. Now she goes up to the second floor and watches him from above. She comes up with a plan. She climbs out through a window and throws her flashlight far off into the woods. The man sees the beam of light moving and runs straight for it. Maddie starts climbing down, but he spots her before she reaches the ground, and he fires the crossbow into her thigh. With an arrow in her leg, she has no choice but to climb back up. The man starts climbing after her, not willing to let his prey get away, and then Maddie surprises him. She wrestles the crossbow out of his hands and shoves him hard enough to send him falling to the ground. He gets right back up and starts climbing again. There is no time for her to load the arrow she just pulled out, so she throws herself back through the window a second before he can grab her. He drops back down, and Maddie treats the wound in her leg. Then she takes a good look at the crossbow, and she notices something on it. A row of marks scratched into the weapon. She realizes what they are. He has been counting his kills. This man has done this many, many times before. It shakes her, but she keeps trying to load the crossbow anyway, even though the mechanism is difficult to work. A while later, someone knocks at her door.
Sarah?
It is a man named John. He has just seen the message Maddie wrote in lipstick on the glass. Before he can react, the man appears behind him with his weapon raised. The man pretends to be a sheriff's deputy. He tells John he responded to an emergency call from this house, that someone inside attacked him and knocked him out, and that when he woke up, his weapon, his phone, and his radio were all gone. He says he needs to borrow John's phone to call for backup. John hands it over, but once the call is done, the man simply slides John's phone into his own pocket. When John asks for it back, something falls out, one of Sarah's earrings. John sees it, and his suspicion kicks in immediately. He decides to test the story. He points out that Maddie could not possibly have made any emergency call because she is deaf and she cannot speak. The man does not even blink. He says the call must have come from Sarah. That answer confirms everything for John. He knows Sarah has been unreachable, and now this stranger has her earring in his pocket. So he plays along. He tells the man that Maddie keeps a spare key hidden in a flower pot outside and asks him to go get it. While the man turns away, John quietly picks up a rock and gets ready to swing. But Maddie, watching from inside and not understanding what is happening, bangs on the window to warn John. The noise gives everything away. The man spins around and strikes John down before he can land the hit. Bleeding out on the ground, John still finds the strength to hold the man back, and he screams at Maddie to run. So Maddie steps outside to run. The man catches her instantly, slams her head against the ground over and over, and kills her. Except none of that actually happens. It was all in Maddie's head. She imagined exactly how it would play out if she ran, and it ends with her dead. So she stays inside. Outside, John keeps fighting. He gets his hands around the man's throat and tries to choke him out, but he has lost too much blood. His grip finally gives, and the man survives. Maddie now runs through her options in her head. Run, hide, wait it out. Every single path leads to the same result, because sooner or later he is getting inside, and she is already bleeding out. So there is only one ending left, the one he would never expect, the one where she kills him. Outside, the man takes John's watch and pockets it. That confirms it. He kills to collect one thing from each victim. He settles in to wait for Maddie's next move. Then he notices her cat wandering toward him, and he decides he's going to kill the animal too. Before he can, Maddie fires an arrow straight into his chest. He roars and charges at the door. Maddie slams it shut just in time, but her hand gets caught in the frame. He crushes it. He grinds her hand in the door frame until it is destroyed, then lets her pull the shattered right hand back inside, and calmly locks the door himself. He tells her he is coming in, and Maddie, using her own blood as ink, writes 3 words on the glass. She tells him to do it, coward. That gets to him. He grabs a lug wrench and starts smashing it against the glass door. While he does, Maddie types out a full description of him on her laptop, along with a final message to her family telling them she fought with everything she had. Then she takes a knife and locks herself in the bathroom to wait. The man never gets through that glass door. It is far too thick to break. So he finds another way. Inside the bathroom, Maddie's vision is starting to blur from blood loss. And the one thing that has defined her whole life, the fact that she cannot hear, is about to kill her. Because she has no idea that the small window behind her has just been shattered. She does not hear the glass break. She does not hear him climbing through. He walks up behind her to finish it. But this time, his confidence is a mistake. He gets too close, and Maddie feels his breath on the back of her neck. She spins around and drives the knife straight into him. She wounds his leg and tries to escape, but her vision keeps fading, and she collapses on the kitchen floor before she can get out. He walks over, ready to finish her off while she is helpless. And that is when Maddie sprays a full stream of insecticide directly into his eyes. He is blinded. Then she reaches up and triggers the fire alarm. And that sound, the sound she cannot hear at all, tears through his ears at a volume that is unbearable. Even blinded and deafened, he still manages to lunge at her. He gets his hands around her throat, and she starts to fade. But Maddie has nothing left to lose. She turns it around on him, grabs the knife, and stabs him again and again until he stops moving. When he finally drops dead on the floor, Maddie reaches into his pocket, takes back her phone, and dials the police. She cannot speak a single word to them. She just has to hope that the fire alarm screaming in the background is enough to tell them something is very wrong. It is. Maddie drags herself out to the porch and sits down with her cat beside her. And after a while, she sees the flash of police lights coming up through the trees. She lets herself smile. She survived. And after 7 failed endings, she finally found the perfect one for her horror novel. So the moral of the story is, don't move alone into a creepy forest house just to finish your novel, because the plot twist always comes with a crossbow.